Welcome, everyone, to our regular council meeting for Wednesday, November the 10th, the eve of Remembrance Day. I hope everybody's been enjoying this beautiful fall weather, and thank you so much for being with us this evening. This meeting is being audio, video, recorded, and live streamed on the town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which will be retained according to the town's retention bylaw. The town of Innisfil acknowledges that we are situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. We also acknowledge that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Ho'ohills First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for their generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifice that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. I would now ask the deputy clerk. We have quorum. Everybody's in attendance this evening, and I'll ask the clerk if we have that anyone registered for open forum. I see that we have not. So we will move then to item number 3, which is the approval of the agenda. And I would ask Councillor Payne and Councillor Orsatti if they would move the recommendation that the agenda be approved as was printed and circulated on the town's website. Thank you. All those in favor? That is carried. I'll now ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary or conflict of interest. Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you during the meeting, please just indicate at that time. And so now we're on item 5, which is presentations and petitions. We do have one presenter this evening, and it is Paul McGuckin. And Mr. McGuckin, if I could ask you to turn on your audio and your video, and we're ready to have you delegate to us whenever it is you're ready. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. It says I cannot start my video because the host has stopped it. So I don't know, are we on or off?
We can see you and we can hear you. So
okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Well, good evening, and good evening, Council. Really just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Councillor Nicol for listening to the community and helping us submit the petition for extending the no parking zone. And that's really all I came on for. I don't have a big, long presentation tonight. I just want to thank the Council for listening to the members of the community. Everybody in the neighborhood signed up, and we just thank you for listening. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. You're well within your time limit.
For once, no. but thank you. I know you guys are busy, and I'll let you get back on to more important things.
Thank you. You might just want to stay on for a bit, though, because I believe that Councillor Nicol did want to maybe alter this recommendation somewhat. So you might just want to stay on in case there's some questions.
Certainly. Thank you very much, and I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicol.
Hey, Worship, I do have a revised recommendation, but I do see that Director Bowman has popped up, and I don't know if she has something to add before I bring the revised recommendation together.
Thank you. Director Bowman, welcome.
Thank you, Worship. Just to comment that staff had an opportunity to look at this together, and we certainly share some concerns around that stretch, particularly from a winter maintenance perspective. So in evaluating that stretch, we would certainly be supportive of extending a no parking condition from Everton to approximately the railroad tracks, as that serves multiple benefits as well. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Nicol.
Your worship, yes, I do have the revised recommendation up there. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Van Berkel. And if I could speak to it just for a second, I have a couple of notes here I just want to bring up. First of all, I wanted to thank Mr. McGuckin for bringing this forward. I did send him the petition template to gauge the overall impact to these neighbors. And it came back where everyone who signed this is a local resident. This impacts them personally, and they're all in agreement on this. Over the years, we've experienced more and more traffic as we continue to improve our lake access amenities for our residents, but it also brings more people here. Shore Acres is the first exit from the 400 with direct access to Lake Simcoe, and has always been a pinch point with regards to traffic congestion, blocking live lanes and forcing pedestrians to navigate around parked vehicles, trailers, as well as snowmobiles and four-wheelers on both sides of this road. Parking on the south side provides a natural flow, and by restricting parking on the north side ensures that a safe, walkable area for our residents and visitors, and ensures unimpeded access for our emergency personnel as well, especially with the hydrants on the north side and actually the residential mailboxes. I'm sure should sidewalks be available in the future, we can revisit this if needed, but until then, I think the revised recommendation is warranted. It provides a safe environment for all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicol. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Arthadi.
Thank you, Your Worship. You know, this is, we always have requests from residents for, you know, safety measures, traffic calming, and, you know, no parking. This is certainly one of the areas that, that I would support the recommendation. It does make sense. So it's nice when we're able to do that. One question is the signage for this. What budget? This is coming back to council with a bylaw amendment. What budget would these signs come out of? Is this coming a recommendation to come out of the traffic safety committee, or is this come out of operations, Ms. Bowman?
Director Bowman.
Through your worship, yes, your operations team will handle this particular stretch. We budget accordingly for this type of event.
Thank you. And just certainly with the ice fishing season, it makes sense in this area for safety all around.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? I also want to thank Councillor Nicol. It's great when we can find a compromise like this that makes the residents happy, but also allows the public to still access the lake. I think it should also be able to help drive up the revenue in that parking lot, because so often you see people parked for free on the side of the road and the paid parking lot is not full. My one question would be about the Guildford Eatery. Did we have conversation with the Guildford Eatery? Is this going to impact them at all? Councillor Nichols.
Sorry, Worship, I don't believe so, because the parking bylaw that's being proposed here is strictly from Everton to west to the track. So it actually doesn't change anything below that, south of, or east of that towards the lake. So Guildford Eatery is part of the Kentucky Marina parking area. So I don't think this will have an impact on them. And unfortunately, our parking lot Shore Acres is generally full in the winter, but quite quiet, much more quiet in the summer, but I think this will help bring that revenue up even more. And I do remember that this was one of the second or third highest grossing parking lots for the community, as it was anyway. So this should be a good benefit for Guildford all around.
Great, thank you so much. Seeing no other hands, we have a mover. The recommendation's been duly moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Mr. McGuckin. Really appreciate your coming and being with us here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan, and thank you, Council. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, so next is item number 7, County Council, municipal associations, conservation authorities, any committees that you sit on behalf of council. We'd love to get an update from you. Is there any update? Deputy Mayor Davidson.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to bring the public, general public up and aware and council regarding the provincial natural heritage system mapping that's before county council right now. I ask you to go to the county webpage, take a look at it because it impacts all of Innisfil, where they may lift the restrictions on our natural heritage sites throughout the municipality. And it could make it easier for developers down the road to develop our forest and our farmland and various other areas around the municipality. Other than that, county council, we know that we've asked for a special meeting to debate this and learn more about it, see how it impact our community, as we want it to be unique and not be like the city of Vaughan or like Mississauga. So county council will bring an update later, hopefully by February. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And yeah, I'm sure staff have been working with the county too. So there's ways of making those protections in our own bylaw, even if the province doesn't play ball with the natural heritage system. But we'll certainly keep working on that, and hopefully they'll come around. Also at County Council, it still needs the final stamp of approval, but we've worked quite hard with the full day meeting, and then again at Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, that was yesterday, to come up with a 2% increase in the county budget for 2022, which includes the lion's share of the capital work is happening in our area this year, with all of the work happening on County Road 21 and County Road 4. So that was basically what happened at county yesterday. Anyone else have any updates from boards or commissions that they sit on behalf of the town? Seeing none, I'll ask if we could have an update from the Emergency Operations Center.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Ms. Ray.
Good evening. Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Council. Simcoe Muskoka has seen an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases over the last 2 weeks. Our current incidence rate is greater than that of the province right now. So this increase, it highlights our need to remain vigilant and continue adhering to public health measures such as physical distancing, masking, and proof of vaccination in certain settings. Ontario has expanded eligibility for COVID-19 booster shots to additional high-risk groups that may be at an increased risk of lowered protection over time. More information can be found on the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit website. Community clinics will be opening up throughout Simcoe and Muskoka again as of November 15th. There's no word on an Innisfil clinic yet, but the Go Backs bus will be rolling into town next Friday, November 19th between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. at the Innisfil Recreation Complex. Health Canada direction on vaccines for children aged 5 to 11. The province announced low barrier testing options to support in-person student attendance at schools. SMDHU continues to review testing options, but continues to recommend PCR testing as the most important kind of testing for individuals with symptoms and those who are close contacts of confirmed cases. SMDHU supports keeping schools open as much as possible. Schools are only closed when absolutely necessary due to the implications that closures have on students and our school community. In other town updates, the Remembrance Day Committee will be broadcasting a virtual service on town of Innisfil social media tomorrow morning, starting at 10:55 a.m. And a reminder that our customer service team has returned to town hall for 5 days a week. We're looking forward to seeing our community in person, but all of the online services that you have used throughout the pandemic are still available at innisfil.ca.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any questions for Ms. Ray? That is a troubling trend. Since the beginning of the pandemic, our region has usually about half the transmission rate of the province, and it's targeted that way since March 2020, and now all of a sudden we're double. So not a good sign. I think maybe it's people are letting their guard down a bit, but we'll keep following that. Seeing no other, I just had one other item for my work at AMO for the town through AMO, that the fall economic statement was released on November the 4th. There was really two significant things that were that involve municipalities. One is there'll be no assessment, impact assessment done again. It's still in a freeze mode for 2022 and 2023. So we're still working on 2016 assessments. And also the community investment fund the pot has doubled. So municipalities will see an increase in OSIF funding, Ontario Community Investment Fund. And we just don't know how much yet, because while we know that the overall pot is doubled, the formula that they use to divvy it out has also changed. So for instance, the very smallest municipalities, population 250, their ceiling or their floor before was 50,000, now it's 100,000. So we know every municipality is going to get more, but some will get like 5% more and some will get 100% more. So we'll be waiting on that information, but it's still very good news as we recover to have that OSIF funding from the province. So next we'll move on to the consent list, and we'll go through the items, and if anyone wants to pull anything, please make it known. So we'll start with A1, A2, and A3. Those are 3 sets of minutes, previous minutes. Seeing none, we'll go to B. B1 is the School Zone Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting report from October 21st. C1, the 2021 third quarter update, financial update. Councillor Arsadi?
Thank you. No, I don't need to refer, just to make a comment on that, if I can. The request on this one for the split of the 2 capital projects, traffic calming, and then the school zone traffic safety committee meeting. I think just for those in the public that are watching, I think the traffic safety committee meeting will have an update on our budget. And I think this is something that's going, we have like about 34,000 left in our budget for the term. And I think we just need to be aware of all the requests coming in by the public for traffic calming and different requests, how we're spending our money, and just staying on top of that for the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors on Q3? We'll have a fulsome discussion on December the 8th about 2022 and the end of year forecast for 2021. Next is the Stroud Curling Club lease update. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I don't think I need to pull it. I just wanted to draw attention to this and recognize the good work that Director Bowman and staff did renewing this partnership with the Curling Club, and recognizing that lease had been needed to be renewed, and it was I believe a really good chance for discussion between a very important group in our community that provides recreation and leadership and community, and those are all really important things right now. So I just wanted to draw attention to that, but I don't need to pull it. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Ices, for your hard work on that negotiation as well. Next is item C3, the municipal drain maintenance assessment. C4, the Alsami P1 provision part lot control exemption bylaw. I also don't want to pull this, but I just want to comment on this, that it's not an Innisfil problem, it's a Ontario Planning Act problem, in my opinion, is that when we dedicate land for places of worship in an official plan, and they end up then reverting to residential because no places of worship can afford probably the land, because now it's it's in a designated plan. I'm hoping down the road we'll find a better way to do this so that when we do have an official plan and we have dedicated areas for things that that they don't revert back to residential housing. That's my rant for today. It was a short one. C5, Alsami P3, the red line revisions. Being none, item D, D1, the Webster Boulevard Environmental Assessment Notice of Study Completion. I did have a question. Oh, so go ahead, Councillor Waters.
Yeah, I don't need to pull it. I just want to make a comment and a reminder to the planning staff that in all the things that they're looking at in terms of bringing the extension through to the 20th, the one thing I want to remind them of is that they're of a reminder that we talked about the idea of there's no mention of creating a trail system off the 20th or off of the stormwater management pond in the subway off of I think it's Lonsby is the idea of creating a trail system that would go under Webster. So making sure that the bridge that goes over the creek there be tall enough to allow maybe putting a future trail system that would then connect into the green space that goes behind all the subdivisions over to Jan's Boulevard. So we've talked about that in the past about trying to create some sort of passive trail system from the 20th over to the 25th through already green spaces that we have. And so I just want to remind staff that to keep that in mind when they're considering that bridge over top of the creek, that make sure that it's high enough that people can hike underneath it, as opposed to having to go over top of the road. If that's going to be part of their master trail plan, I just want to remind them of that. The other comment I was going to make is that I like the third alternative in that scenario of taking the Webster up to the 9th as opposed to onto the 20th. So anyways, they're just my two comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have a question for Ms. Nielsen, if I could. So the Deputy Mayor spoke earlier about the natural heritage mapping being pulled back in some areas of Innisfil. My understanding that is in this area, the natural heritage mapping has been enhanced. And will that impact I guess the environmental assessment is done. So if the natural heritage mapping is enhanced in that area, will it impact us putting that connection through?
Thank you, Your Worship. The environmental engineers looked at the area through there and did a comprehensive study of what is in the area. So the mapping is current. So the road that goes through from the current end of Webster Boulevard to 20th Side Road is possible to go through. There is environmental impacts, but they chose the least environmentally impactful solution to that alignment, which is one of the reasons why the connection to 9th line was tabled, because the environmental impacts were significant.
Thank you for that. Anyone else have a question on this EA? Seeing none, we'll move on to bylaws. Bylaw E1. Nobody wants to pull it, so we'll go to item F, correspondence for action. There are none. And then items G, there are 4 correspondence for information. Is there any one of those that anyone would like to pull or speak to? I just want to say I love the note from the young lady from St. Pete's who's going to nursing school. That was very nice of her to send us a note. Seeing none, okay, so that is it. So the consent list, we'll move. We don't have to resolve into committee of the whole if we have nothing pulled. Am I correct, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, as no items were pulled, we do not have to resolve into committee of the whole, and we can proceed to the next item, which I believe would be notices of motion, but we do not have any of those. So we would be on to announcements.
Thank you. Boy, I think this is going to go on record as being the fastest council meeting we've ever had. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes there's lots of announcements. Okay, can council announcements for this evening? Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to mention, and I should have mentioned this in before when it came up, for the Innisfil Accessibility Committee, I just wanted to mention that one of our senior members have passed away, Robert Davies, and he's been very ill, and he was a nice fella, and he's going to be missed on our committee. So I just wanted to mention that.
Condolences to his family on behalf of council, and thanks for volunteering on our committee.
Yes.
Very good of him. Thank you, Carol.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councillor Icy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple announcements. It's a repeat of the one I made last council meeting. The town is looking for your stories that can be submitted into the virtual Sports Hall of Fame. There's a submission form on the website, and it would be really great if we could get some stories that we could archive some of the great stories of sports in Innisfil over the past 200 years. So that was one announcement. The other one was just to say how nice it was to be set to commemorate Remembrance Day on Sunday. I know it's tomorrow, but there was a ceremony in Cookstown and in Sandy Cove on Sunday, and it had been 2 years since we've done that. And especially the one in Cookstown, there's been so much great work done to the cenotaph and the grounds around there to keep that history that we have, and it's very moving to be part of that with all the policemen and the firemen in their proper garb for these ceremonies, and the wreaths being laid. It was very nice to be there again. So those are my announcements. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Icy. Other announcements? Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. As many of you know, I've challenged Councillor Ferragini from Bradford for Movember, and the race is still going strong. There's only a $25 difference between the two of us and the funds that we're raising for charity, or each of our selected charities. I just want to get as much support and get word out, because I'm really dying to put an Innisfil shirt on a Bradford councillor if possible. If we can do that, that would really make my Movember. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Worship. With that, Councillor Fowler, this is for you. I will try to bump you over the corner there, so I will send that to you for sure. Thank you. Just want to acknowledge Councillor Sadi and Councillor Fowler and myself spent some time last weekend helping the Poppy Fund, and and I know the mayor did as well too, to help out the Lefroy Legion. With that, also the Cookstown Chamber of Commerce was able to hold their annual bonanza once again. A little celebration in downtown Cookstown for the kids, and myself, Wyatt, and the mayor were available as well too, and did some draws and surprising as well. So I think as Councillor Icy's mentioned, the Remembrance service in Cookstown was amazing. To get back to that place, and the work that was been done on that facility is just amazing. And I'll leave it until next meeting, but there are plans in the works for Light Up to return to Cookstown as well too. So there'll be, I'm sure, in some sort of limited capacity, but looking forward to getting it back to a bit of normality. But obviously we still have a ways to go to get through what we've all been dealing with. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to Councillor Van Berkel and the Remembrance Day Committee and Assistant Clerk Jacobs for doing so much work for our Remembrance Day services. Other announcements? I just have a couple quick ones. A big thank you to Jennifer Richardson for giving us such a tough decision and picking the best decorated houses for the Halloween decorations, and also to our the Bonanza and the Spooktacular were wonderful, but also our new event, which was the Pumpkin Walk, was absolutely so great. Marge Mossman, and she had a whole bunch of different groups helping her. I love it when a whole bunch of different groups from the community all come together and help. And I know she was only expecting, you know, a couple hundred or not even 100 pumpkins, and it was just a huge success. So I'm hoping we're able to carry that on. I really enjoyed the art show at the library too. Spent a bit too much money, but enjoyed that. And also enjoyed being at the kickoff for Christmas for Kids today, and looking forward to, and anybody, if you can, please, there's a donation box at Town Hall, and they did about close to 500 campers last year. So, and this year, probably with the times we've been through, people are also struggling. And my last was the most excitement I've had in a long time. On Monday, I got to travel to Christian Island for the first time ever by ferry, and it was a beautiful day, and attended the Aboriginal Veterans Remembrance Day service. They have a gorgeous cenotaph on Christian Island, and it was, I met Chief Sandy, the new chief there, and met a young Innisfil gentleman named Scott Simpson, who works at for the Beausoleil First Nation, and was responsible for getting me invited to the event. So I owe him a great big thanks. And that's all the announcements that I had. I will ask at this time if CAO Gershow has any announcements for the good of the corporation.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to take a moment to, I guess, acknowledge it's my third week now at the town of Innisfil, and I wanted to extend just really sincere thanks to all the members of council, as well as the staff in the town, for extending such a warm welcome, and really for supporting me so well, you know, in my transition into this role. You know, I think through a lot of meetings, but also through visits in the community, I'm really starting to learn a lot about Innisfil and about the opportunities and the challenges we have. And it's also been really a privilege also to meet with folks from our One Town, One Team partners, as well as our neighbors around Simcoe County. So it's just been a tremendous 2.5 weeks. And I just wanted to share, again, those words of thanks for everyone who's helping me along. And I look forward to deepening my immersion in the weeks ahead.
Thank you, Oliver. And I know staff are working hard on getting his work boots dirty. So he's been all over Innisfil and with all different teams and learning the corporation. So thank you for that. All right, so we do have to go back because we got so excited that we didn't do the consent list recommendation. So I'll ask for Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councillor Ices to move and second the consent list recommendation. All those in favor? That is carried. And then we have the confirming bylaw, which is moved by Councillor Van Berkel and seconded by Councillor Arsati. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And finally, adjournment. And we know that's Councillor Nicol and Councillor Fowler. All those in favor? That is carried. And I think we set the record for a 35-minute council meeting, but we got a lot covered, and we'll see you all next week for the public meeting on short-term accommodations. I'm sure we'll make up for it at that meeting. Thanks, everybody, and have a good evening.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everyone.
Good night.